Hello, podcast listeners. We know podcasts are a great way to catch up on a program that you may have missed on KSJE, and it's provided as a free service of this radio station. But you know, KSJE is now listener-supported, and so while you enjoy this podcast, we hope that you'll also take some time to join KSJE. Become a member today. It's quite easy to do. Just go to our website at ksje.com/support and pick the level of support that best matches your budget. Thanks again for listening. Here's your podcast. Continuing our interviews with candidates running in the upcoming municipal elections in November, Scott Eckstein is joining me. He is running for a seat on the Bloomfield City Council, running for re-election. Scott Eckstein, welcome to KSJE. Good to have you back.
Thank you for having me back.
Here you go again.
Here I go again.
Way to start this off, I suppose. Yeah. You have been in public service now for a long, long time, including your law enforcement service too, correct?
Right. I started public service when I was just barely 22 years old.
A couple months ago,
yeah.
Okay.
Quite a few. Back in 1987, I was hired by the Bloomfield Police Department 4 years after I graduated high school, so you can do the math there and figure out how old I am. But, I started with Bloomfield Police Department in 1987, worked there for 7.5 years before transferring to the Sheriff's Office. Worked for the Sheriff's Office for 13 years. Now, at 10 years into the Sheriff's Office, something I had always wanted to do since I worked for Bloomfield PD, and it's kind of a long story, but I had an interest in running for Bloomfield City Council when I worked for Bloomfield PD. So 3 years before I was eligible to retire from the Sheriff's Office, I checked with the Sheriff, and he checked with legal to see if it was a conflict of interest for me to run for Bloomfield City Council. The legal said no, it was not a conflict of interest, so I ran for City Council, figuring that 4-year term would take me into retirement.
Right.
So, because I was retiring 3 years later, as it worked out, the mayor, two years into my term, the mayor at the time decided he was not going to run again. He asked me if I was interested in running for the open seat. So I ran for mayor in 2006, was elected, actually successfully elected 3 times for 12 years after retirement. Served on the city council, as I said, 2 years, 12 years as mayor. And concurrently, during that time from 2009 to 2016, I was successful being elected as a county commissioner. So I served 8 years serving both mayor of Bloomfield and the county commissioner. So yes, lots of public experience.
Right, and lots of elections.
And lots of elections. This is my 10th.
10th election, how about that?
Yeah. 10th.
And so you're running for city council in Bloomfield. There are 2 open seats. There are 2 candidates on the ballot and 1 write-in candidate.
That's correct.
And so I guess the first question I have to ask, but you're not running for mayor, and that caught me as interesting. Is there a reason for that? You wanted to stay on the council and not run for mayor this time?
Well, I heard that Cynthia was going to run for re-election. John Mueller had told me that he was interested in running for mayor. I didn't want to crowd it up. I've actually felt comfortable. I've enjoyed serving on the council. I did 12 years as mayor. It can be stressful at times, extremely stressful at times. Being on the council is a little more low-key. So I kind of figured that I didn't know who all was going to run for council. I didn't know how contested it would be, but I wasn't hearing any rumors in the community. Bloomfield's a small community, and usually when there's somebody going to run, you'll hear rumors about that person going to run. And I heard no rumors. I'd heard the rumors about the mayor running for re-election and John Mueller running for election. And then I had talked to Louis Aaron, the 3rd candidate, and he told me he intended to run for mayor. So
gotcha.
That's why I made the decision.
So talk to me about the city council and some of the issues that you are running on for city council. What are some of the things that you're hearing from voters and constituents, and what are the things that you would like to work on if given another 4 years by the voters?
Well, of course, economic development is always the big thing. My thing about economic development is if you want better parks, you want better roads, you want better infrastructure, you need more money to do that. And economic development, bringing in industry. And, we've got, of course, McDonald's coming in, that's retail. That doesn't bring in as much revenue as bigger companies will.
Right.
But that, of course, economic development, everybody talks about economic development that's running for office, just about everybody, I would guess. But it's very important. In working, my history over the last 21 years of being a public servant, as an elected official, I've got to know a lot of people. I know the person that owns the industrial park in Bloomfield. pretty well, and you get to know people, business owners, and stuff like that. And I think that comes in handy sometimes when you're working on economic development. Just having that personal relationship with them, that friendship with them, and that trust that you build between each other. So that's the big one. Did you have another question?
Well, because it sounds like you're going to go on and talk about another issue with me, and that's okay. It's what I asked you about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The goals, of course, beautification would be another one. When I was mayor, we had the medians that were put in and beautified. This spring, I noticed before the balloon rally that we had Chinese elms growing out of the bushes, and a lot of them. And I had mentioned it in a council meeting that, if we got the balloon rally coming in, we want our medians to look good. And it got kind of worked on. But then the mayor and I spoke, and we both said, hey, we need to get these medians cleaned up. If we want to attract business, if we want to attract residents to our community, and you're coming into Bloomfield from Farmington, you want the medians to look top notch. So to that end, long story short, the Parks Department made a presentation to us. So they showed us what all they've done with the parks this year, and they've done a lot. I mean, if you look at the soccer fields, the baseball fields, and just the parks around town, they're really green, but they didn't have enough. They only had 4 employees. They just didn't have enough workforce to cover everything that needs to be covered. So we as a council voted to add one more parks worker. So that's 25% more than they had, adding just one person.
Right.
And that person's main responsibility will be the medians. Of course, if the medians are looking good, then they're going to be used somewhere else, but their main responsibility is keeping the medians up.
Gotcha.
So beautification, that's something we're working on. There's proof there that Bloomfield is getting better looking, and I think the whole council and the mayor, all of us, really are bought in on making Bloomfield better looking.
Sure.
And it's hard. I mean, there's weeds that grow, especially with these rains and stuff, but it's a never-ending challenge. But
Sure. Well, and there's only so much money in the budget too, I suppose, right?
That's
so
right.
There's that. What else is on your goals list?
Being prudent with the taxpayers' dollars. And to that end, I can tell you, I know that infrastructure needs to be replaced, that the water, but in the last 4 years, I have voted no, and it has failed twice on water rate increases. We have a water replacement fund that came into effect in 2019. That's the 4 years that I was not on the council, that I was not involved with the city of Bloomfield. And the purpose of that is to replace aging infrastructure, and if we have an emergency, that money's there. I personally think that fund is a little too expensive. The more water you use, the more you're paying into that fund. And although water rates are reasonable, there's that fund that I would like to see it. I understand the reason behind it, but I think it's a little excessive.
Think it's too high?
I think it's too high. I would like to see it reduced.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good. And some other things briefly that you wanted to cover on your goals?
Okay. Government transparency. When I was mayor, we had a bits and pieces which went out in the water bill. When I got elected, I pushed that when I was running for council 4 years ago. When I got elected, I pushed it, and it came back for a short time, then it went away. I think we need to find a way to keep the citizens informed on what's going on, because with social media, if they don't know what's going on, I have found that they'll a lot of times make up what's going on in rumors. And I wish that we could get that bits and pieces back to update the citizens on what's going on, because there's times I found stuff out that I wasn't aware of.
Sure.
And that's as a city councilor from citizens. So
right.
I just think there's got to be better communication. And to that end, I do have a Facebook page that I keep very, very active. It's called Scott Eckstein, Bloomfield City Councilor. I've got a QR code on this sticker here, but I'm sure I can't show that QR code there. But just if you go to Facebook,
search for that, it should pop up, right?
Yeah, it should pop up. And I try to keep that active every day, keeping the agenda for the council meetings, sharing things that businesses are doing within the community, and just being open to people contacting me,
right.
and asking questions.
Very good. Nice.
We're
Running out of time.
Okay.
So, but I wanted to ask you about one issue that I know is somewhat controversial in the city. That's the gravel plant. I think that's going in, right? The sand plant. That's right. Yes. Pardon me.
Correct.
And how your thoughts on that? Is it going the way you thought it was going? And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
We had an update from them. Let me backtrack. When we approved it with some stipulations that they put in a building, that they have the air monitor, that they have a meter on the water that they take in. They gave us an update a month or so ago, and there were a couple things that they did. Although we didn't give them a timeline, I expected that they would get that done within a reasonable amount of time. And I know they're working on it, but they have not yet, as far as I know, installed the air monitors or built the building. So that's a concern of mine. They promised they're going to get it done, and they're wanting to get it done before winter. It wasn't a requirement. It was a request. They're as far as I know, they told us that they've only had one issue during an inspection, and that was an extension cord was under a door and it was rubbing it. But that was it. Other than that, what I said during the council meeting when we approved this was I wanted to make the public very aware that we were only approving a zone change. We were not approving them to use excessive water, to violate OSHA standards, to violate local, state, federal laws.
That was the only question that came before the city council, the zoning change. That was the only question that came before the city council.
Yes, changing it from agricultural to commercial, I believe it was, or industrial.
Industrial.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had that confused. But yeah, so that's all the council did, and a lot of rumors were floating around that we were allowing them to do this, that, and the other. But there are regulations that prevent them from doing things that are illegal or.
Right. And there's folks that other agencies, I guess, that are monitoring that or are supposed to be.
Right.
And that's not the city's job to do that.
Right.
So, understood. Thank you for answering that question.
Sure.
We are out of time. Our 10 minutes is up, I'm sorry to say, but you've mentioned your Facebook page. That's the best way for folks to get in touch with you if they have other questions that I haven't asked you yet today?
Yeah, or they can call me on my cell phone. My cell phone is 505-215-0736. Get a hold of me on Facebook, Scott Eckstein, Bloomfield City Councilor. Or you can email me at Eckstein, my last name, 65@gmail.com.
There you go. And he does answer you. He's done it to me. So there you go. He'll reply. Okay. Scott Eckstein, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you enjoy that podcast? We hope that you did. And if you did, share it with your friends. And if you really want to keep podcasts like this coming, please support KSJE. You can do it easily online at ksje.com.